Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is At the Helm Sports. I'm your host, Derek Helm. Thank you for joining me for episode 126. Please be sure to follow and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave those 5-star reviews. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Down in the comments section, pretty simple. Tell me who's going to be your highest owned golfer this week for the Masters. Now, I ask every week, ratings, reviews, hit the like button. Do it this week. It's a big week. It's the Masters. Goes a long way towards getting us new viewers, new listeners. So I'd greatly appreciate it. Okay? Thanks. But we're going to dive into the Masters this week, break down the Draftkings pool. And joining me, I have the crew with me. So we have Dave Utnick. Dave, how we doing?
Friends, hello.
And the casual corner himself, Mike Carpanini. How we doing, Mike?
Hello, friends. How are you now?
That was a great Bob Costas.
Yeah, I'm good at that Bob Costas.
Yeah, for those of you that weren't with us for last year's Masters, Mike went on a big tirade about how he loves just Bob Costas and the Hello Friends, and it gets him in the mood for the Masters. And clearly that is not Bob Costas. So, but we're going to be diving into the DraftKings pool for the Masters here. Quickly, we can, just give some thoughts on the Valero. Did you guys get to see any of that absolute chaos at the end there?
Nope.
Unbelievable, you guys. You're on a golfing podcast every single week.
Holes on the playoff.
I mean, that was most of what you needed to see.
That was.
I mean, Denny just went nuclear. It was insane. The man was just hitting everything, hitting chips. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And, that was my first outright of the year. So I was like, we're really just we're just not going to get any. But going into the Masters, we got an outright. So pretty excited about that. But you guys ready to dive into the field?
Absolutely.
So obviously we have the Masters. And at the very top is Scotty Scheffler. We don't have the 5K pricing this week. So Scheffler is priced $12,100. Pretty affordable. I'm going to say something crazy off the bat here. I'm not going to be fading Scotty this week.
I highly endorse that.
Good job. Yeah, good job.
But what are you guys' thoughts up here? I mean, how much Scotty do you think you should play? I mean, he's probably going to be, I would guess, somewhere around 30%. So do you match that? Do you go all in? Dave?
It's probably maybe like a 50%-ish type of thing. I might talk myself out of that a little bit more, but, we kind of talked a little bit about it last week. His floor is just so high. I don't know how you don't play him.
Yeah. Yep. Now, I will say the issue without that 5K pricing, there's a lot of guys in the 6K that you can just cross off completely. So there's not as much as you can do as far as build-wise with it, but still, it's Scotty Scheffler. Obviously, the guy has been on another planet, so going to have to play him. Mike, what do you think? How much do you think you're going to be playing Scotty?
How much should you play? All of them. Like, all of them. I'll probably
all
leave with 30. I don't think I'll be that. I mean, how much can you reasonably jam in there? So, 30, 40, something like that is about as much as you could reasonably jam. But last week, the difference between 1 and 2 was like $1,700, 16, whatever it was. The difference between 1 and 2 this week is 902 is John Rahm. Like, if there's ever going to be what you would call a relatively cheap price for the best player in the field relative to the rest of the top end, like, I feel like this is it. Like, they're not going to give you better pricing on Scotty than this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I can poke holes in Rahm. Just, the guy doesn't seem happy with his decision to go to Live. Every time he's talking, it's just, well, Live should change this, Live should change that. And I really think that might be weighing on him, and it could be added pressure for him coming into this week. And then you have the fact that he's the reigning champion as well and has all of that he's got to take care of. So I worry a little bit about Rahm, but at the same time, I'm probably not alone in that. And out of sight, out of mind, maybe people don't go back to Rahm. And I could see him being one of the lower owned up here. So I want to see what his ownership's going to be before I make a final decision on Rahm. But Dave, what are you thinking at the top here?
You kind of just beat me to the punch there. I think John Rahm is kind of a more of an interesting conversation than Scotty Scheffler. Do you really want to prioritize John Rahm with whatever he's doing on Live Tour at this moment? And he also has that defending champions responsibilities. There's a lot of stuff going on where if it's a 1v1, Scotty versus Rahm, it's going to be really tough to click him. But again, when we are looking at fields the size as they are this week in terms of DraftKings pool, you're going to get a steep ownership discount on, last time that anyone on the planet saw him, one of the, best golfers out there.
Yeah, and he hasn't been bad on Live. I mean, just hasn't won, and you would expect him to win some of those tournaments with those fields. But he's basically top 5, top 10 in all of them. But Mike, what are you thinking at the top?
I think Rahm's the kind of guy who has to get himself up for events, and I feel like he's just not he's not getting up for Live. He doesn't have that. He's too competitive for Live. I think he's getting bored out there. Rory, I'm a fan of Rory, but are we at the point now? I know it's kind of been like a running joke for a long time, but if he doesn't get it when's his next opportunity? Is he ever going to get one? I'm really conflicted on Rory there.
I think he could get one. I don't know that it's necessarily this year. There seems to be too many hiccups in the game right now.
He's running out of chances. He's not young anymore. And if you would have asked me, whatever, 10, 20 years ago, to be sitting here saying Rory doesn't have one, with a game that works, he moves the ball right to left. He's got plenty of distance, good iron play. You would think Augusta should have been a Rory course for the last 2 decades. But we're really getting to the point where he might not get one here.
And he's missed 2 out of the last 3 cuts too. He's not coming in and dominating form. Talking yourself into Rory at the top here is also pretty tough, which leads you back to Brooks, who, dare I say, sounds safe at Augusta when you're looking at the rest of these guys here after Scotty.
Yeah, I bet Brooks. I just, after his opening round at Live Miami, he was 3 under, and I was like, oh, his number is going to crater. So I, excuse me. So I hopped on it. I just, him in a major, him at the Masters, I'm cool with it. But he didn't look good in Live Miami over the weekend. Now, maybe that was just he just checked out and he's moving on to the Masters. But I think he's definitely the most popular up here, other than Scotty, probably by a wide margin, and probably for good reason. So as of right now, I'm definitely playing Koepka. It kind of almost seems like a misprice for Wyndham Clark being up here, but with the year that he's been having, obviously we know debutant's not really likely to win here, but I think this is a place that fits Wyndham's game very well. He has distance off the tee, has a good around the green game. I think that he could play well here in his first time, and with the golf he's been playing so far this year, it's basically Scotty, and he's right behind him. So I actually do like Wyndham quite a bit, and I think he's going to get squeezed here in the pricing because he's in between Brooks and Xander, who are probably going to be pretty popular here. Xander, I've also made an outright on, which I never do, and everything I'm looking at from what he's been doing this year, from what he's done prior at Augusta, I love Xander, and at only 9,900, I think it's a good price for him, and I'm fine eating the chalk there, regardless of what his ownership is. But Dave, why don't you round out this range for us?
I mean, with Wyndham Clark, I just don't see him winning, and I think at 10,000, you really do need, to be picking a winner here. I mean, yes, can he pay off with a top 5? Sure, if everyone else fails, but I think it's just too much to pay for someone who's got very little win equity, being a debutant, versus the other guys in this range. I like Xander also, but for me up top, it's going to be Scotty and Brooks, at least until we start getting into the ownership game. Scotty, Brooks, and Xander from this top tier.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning. I'm sure we're probably not alone there, so it's going to be interesting to see what that ownership comes in at. But Mike, what are you thinking here towards the top?
I think I'm going to start a lot of my lineups with Wyndham Clark and Shuffle. If I'm not playing Scotty, I think I'm going to dip down for a little bit of savings, and I think those two are going to be where I land most of the time. I'm even okay giving Neiman a stab. Again, out of sight, out of mind, but he seems to be kind of like he's out there to prove a point this year, which, sometimes piss and vinegar is enough to get it done. And I think a lot of that's where I'm going to land when I come off Scotty.
Yeah, I could see it. As far as Neiman goes, though, he's been playing incredible golf on Live and elsewhere this year. So you got to like where his game is at. Obviously, he had his best finish at the Masters last year where he came 16th. I don't think his game really fits Augusta that much. And, we're talking about Wyndham having a win here at only $400 more. Do we really think Neiman's going to come out and win the Masters? I don't really see it. And honestly, if I'm going to take someone in this range, I don't like the state of his game at all, but I'd probably rather go to Hovland, and he's probably going to be even lower owned for $100 less.
How can you guys really say Clark and Neiman don't have win equity? It's 2024. Like, wins are coming from up and down the board. Like, I don't know. I'm just not discrediting it like you guys are.
I mean,
We're at the Masters now.
Yeah,
Fair. I'm not saying that's not fair.
it's just a course that has too much course history and numbers around it. You don't win this tournament the first time you're here, unless you're Tiger Woods. Which did he win the first one? Anyway, I think this is Clark not playing here before is enough to cross him off the list for winning this tournament. And I mean, I don't want to be very heavy on him if I don't think he can win. Neiman's played here before and has gotten better each of the last, year after year. So I think he's got a little bit more win equity. But the first time with Clark being here is, really enough of a telling stat to kind of, make an easy decision there for me.
Yeah, I don't hate Clark. I don't know if I'm going to play him right now, but I mean, if you are playing in the Millie or one of the big GPPs, I think he's a perfect play up here. You get away from a lot of the ownership, and if come Sunday he's putting on a green jacket with the form he's been in and just the game he has, I don't think anybody would be absolutely shocked. Now, is it likely? I don't think so. Obviously, there's a huge disparity between his Draftkings price and the betting odds. So, I mean, part of that is popularity, but obviously the books aren't really too afraid of laying a number on him. So, just something to keep in mind there. Now, if we go down into this 9K range, I said I might be willing to take a chance on Hovland. It's just that around the green game is absolutely horrendous. He's going to have to hit every single green and hit a good amount of putts there, which he's clearly capable of, but I don't know if I want to get there. If you want to play Cantlay, he's probably going to be one of the lowest owned in the 10s, 9s, and 8s. I mean, I could see him being 5% owned. Guy hasn't really been great, hasn't had top end finishes at the Masters, but if you're going from a game theory standpoint, you can definitely make a case for him. But Mike, what are you thinking in this 9K range?
I'm skipping most of that middle and the top, other than the Schaffley and Neiman that I mentioned. Aberg, give me all. Aberg at 91, best price of the year. Rest of the year probably going to get him, maybe with the exclusion of a couple more majors. Decky, this is another good Decky course, good course history. He played pretty well last week. Spieth, I feels like a weird Spieth week. Like he almost kind of put it together last week. He flashed a little bit, and he's got some okay history here at Augusta, but that's one that scares me. Cam Smith, I'm a fan of Cam Smith. Even I have no idea what kind of form he's in. Same with him with DJ, although DJ I think is getting old. I'm landing at that 92 92, 91, 9 area before I start going down. Before I go higher. Like, I don't really want Cantley. I don't really want Hovland. So I think I'm landing there.
Yeah, I want to see Spieth's ownership. I can make a case for fading him. It's scary because it is Augusta, and you said it. He looked okay last week, and that's generally a course that he plays well at as well. So I want to see what his ownership is. I like Zalatoris. I made an outright on him, 33-1 with top 7 each way. Second place his first time here, sixth place in 2022. He had to withdraw with the injury last year, but has played Augusta well. Has played well this year at big tournaments, and good with the par 5 scoring, good with those long irons. I like Zalatoris quite a bit. Oberg is definitely in play here. We said Wyndham's game could fit. I definitely think Oberg's game could fit as well. I don't think the moment is too big for him. So at 9,100, you can make a case for him as well. And he'll probably get a little bit lower ownership being between Spieth and Matsuyama, because Matsuyama, I mean, I made a bet on Xander. I made a bet on Brooks, but in that range, if I wasn't going one of those guys, it would definitely be Hideki. I took a top 20 on him. He's been incredible this year. The form coming in is great. Obviously, he already has a green jacket. So I do like Hideki quite a bit. But Dave, what are you thinking in the 9K range?
I mean, you guys hit on everybody so far. I'm really not a big fan of fading Jordan Spieth of the Masters coming off a top 10. It's good enough for me to play him. Hovland just doesn't have the form coming in. He's got a little bit of the tournament history. He's played pretty well here, but I think he was a completely different player this time of year last year too. So I can kind of write him off. Aubert, you're not looking as much for a win at 9,100, more of a top 5, top 3. So I'm on board with that there. And Hideki is checking all the boxes at this moment, playing well, great course history here. I mean, I'm sure ownership is going to come into play at some point, but he's going to be a very, popular player for sure. I don't know if he'll get too popular where I need to talk myself out of him, but he really has just been. He's got he's got everything that you're looking for in terms of winning this play at this course and what he's been up to lately. So really like him over there. And that's it for the 9s.
Yeah, if we dip down into this 8K range, there's interesting names, but a lot of them have warts. A lot of them have question marks. Cam Smith and DJ, Mike, you brought it up. Them being on live, don't really know what they've been up to. Hasn't been the best form. DJ did win in Vegas earlier this year, but has kind of been pedestrian since. Cam Smith really hasn't been great, but has played the Masters well. So going to be interesting to see where their ownership comes in. Justin Thomas is going completely overlooked, and part of it is probably the caddy narrative. Part of it is probably just his up and down season so far, but I think he could be an interesting leverage play here if you did want to go there. I don't know that I necessarily am going to go there because I do like Finau. Guy has just been absolutely incredible with his ball striking. 6th on approach over the last 24 rounds, 5th in opportunities gained, has played well at Augusta. So I do like him. And Cam Young as well. He's been striking the irons also, 4th over the last 24 rounds, 11th off the tee. So great with the ball striking there. I do like the both of them quite a bit. I think they get pretty popular. So kind of want to keep an eye on the ownership. But because I like them so much, it's going to be kind of hard to get to a lot of these guys around this range. Just Morikawa looks like he is absolutely lost. Homa showed some flashes last week, a little bit better. Gained with the irons, not much, but better than what he's been doing. So you can make a case for him. Bryson just seems to not be able to figure out Augusta. So I'm away there. But Mike, what do you think here in this range?
You said the two I like the most. I like Finau and I like Young. I like Finau's course history here. Like he's another that comes in here and plays well. He's put himself in contention a couple of times. Young is just really hot and cold, and I'm going to look for a hot week. I still I don't know what it is about Homa. I don't know. Maybe he's my new Sergio. I just can't quit him. going to end up burning me. I said in the beginning of the year, I thought he was going to, have a really good year. And he's just a couple of these tournaments, it feels like he's been close, but just can't seem to put it together. And then, Sam Burns, I guess I'll dabble in a little bit of Sam Burns, but not much because a bunch of guys in the set is better, and we'll get there.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about Burns. It's just with him, it's basically just been putter or bust, and I don't know how that really translates here. Hasn't really played well in majors overall. At Augusta in particular, missed the cut the first time, 29th last year. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get there on Burns. But Dave, what are you thinking here?
I think we're a couple of bad Sundays, which if they were good Sundays, away from Shane Lowry being a 10K player at the Masters. At 8K, I think he's been playing really well. It's a great price for him. I did bet the outright already at 63 to 1, I think I got with a boost. So really like him there. I don't think I'll be alone on that at all either. So, definitely want to watch his ownership, but I think he really is a very good play at the price, especially compared to where everyone is around them. Max Homa isn't good in the majors until, he isn't. Was keeping an eye on his number, saw it as high as like 70 to 1 today. So I might end up placing that bet at some point, but I do like him here as well. He played better at the Masters last year, and, we're looking for his game to kind of get to the next level, which I think he has the potential of doing. So like him there. DJ, I can't argue ever playing again, not playing DJ at the Masters. Cam Smith is going to be a tough click also, with, how he's hasn't played or, not playing very well on live, but it's going to be tough to fill up in this range, especially with the guys above them there. I'm not here for Cam Young. I'll just be late to the party, I guess. And the rest of the guys around them, just nothing that impressive. I do like Tony Finau, but not as much as the guys I already went through.
Yeah, I like the Lowry call. I mean, other than Scotty, just it's hard to really argue that many guys have been playing better golf, and you nailed it on the head with the putting. The other concern is the 3-putt avoidance around here. Maybe that kind of hurts him a little bit. I definitely think he's going to be popular, but as of right now, I'm probably going to be playing Shane Lowry. But if we dip down into the 7K range, I like Fitzpatrick coming off of back-to-back top 10s, 5th at the Players, 10th last week. He's looking to be in pretty good form and turned his game around. If he can get the driver going here, I think it makes a lot of sense for Augusta. So definitely going to be playing some of him. Now, down here, I don't know. I'm not crazy about a lot of guys. I love Thigala. I made an outright on him at 50 to 1 with the top 7 each way. I just think with the way his game has been so far this year, he's in great form. I think everything he does translates to Augusta. If he can just get the irons going a little bit, I could see a huge week from Thigala. But Dave, what do you think in the 7K range?
I'm with you on Thigala. I placed a futures bet on him back in February. I think it was around 66 to 1. So really looking for him to make that leap there. Played here last year, coming in good form. Fitzpatrick, the same thing. Tyrrell Hatton is going to be one that I'm going to probably have on the very edge of my player pool. He doesn't play great here, but, still very talented for the players that are around him. Corey Connors always plays well here, although he is coming off a miscut last year. And as much as I hate him in general, Patrick Reed just plays really well at the Masters year after year after year. I think he at 7,400 is just way too cheap with, the guys that are around him. You got Tom Kim at the same price who just looks lost out there. Minwoo, Ricky Fowler right in that range. I mean, Patrick Reed, especially at this course, just a much higher class of golfer. Granted, I have no idea what he's been up to lately.
Yeah, I like a lot of those guys. I like Connors. I do think he gets a little bit popular there. I saw enough from Fleetwood last week. I'll probably add him to the player pool. I was out on Hatton, just didn't think that, there's Masters fit there but he's playing okay golf on Live. I think this could be a year where he actually has a pretty good finish here. Patrick Reed, you said it, just he's playing the Masters well every year, just came top 10 in Miami on Live, so playing well. Masters is his happy place. 7,400, I think, is a really good price for him. And then if we go down here in the lower sevens, I like Russell Henley. He's just a guy that's been playing really good golf lately. Played really well here last year as well. Bhatia, after the performance we saw last week, I think that this place fits him very well. Obviously, as a lefty, with just the game that he has, I do think it translates to Augusta pretty well. Adam Scott, 7,100. Siwoo Kim's game seems to be really good. It's just a matter of can that putter show up at all, because he's been terrible on the greens. But I think there's quite a bit to like down in this 7K range. Mike, what about you?
I like the whole 7K range. You guys started this segment off humming and hawing, and I didn't know what you guys were talking about. I like Fitzy. I like Sagith. I like Fleetwood. I like Connor. I like Minwoo. I like Siwoo. Give me Justin Rose in a major just all the time until he proves me he can't do it. I don't even give a shit about, how he's been playing recently. It's just Justin Rose is a fucking gamer. Adam Scott. I just think this entire 7K range is playable, and you probably need a bunch of them if you expect to afford Scotty.
Yeah, definitely. Justin Rose, I kind of agree that he could show up here regardless of form, but he has just been absolutely lost, especially with his irons so far this year. And I just don't see him randomly turning that on. And this is a place where you got to be hitting your irons, or you're going to have no chance. So I'm probably staying away from Justin Rose there. But the rest of this 7K range definitely looks pretty good. Go ahead, Dave.
Is Phil too expensive at 7K flat?
Yep.
Probably. Yeah, I think that's literally just what he did last year and just his history at the Masters, and I don't think anybody plays him. And I probably won't play him either. It's probably similar to what the case I always make in majors for Phil recently is just play him in Showdown. If you played him in Showdown on Sunday last year, you probably won some money. So that'll be my Phil exposure. But Mike, why don't you kick off the 6K range?
There's not, you guys kind of led the show with it. There's not as much to love down here as you would be looking for. I like Kirk. At 69. I would love to pretend I'm not going to play Sergio, but I mean, let's call a spade a spade. I'm probably going to play a little bit of Sergio, especially after, I guess he finished somewhere last week, doing.
Yeah, he lost in a playoff in Miami.
I mean, Adam Hadwin's kind of a shot in the dark there. Again, if I can get a made cut from down here, I think I'm good with it. Morong 65 kind of seems like, considering some of the Live guys above him that we already passed over, 65 seems low for him. Griot, you might be able to take a stab at. Kitayama, you might be able to take a stab at. Not going to be down here if I could avoid it, though.
Yeah, there's a couple guys that I think are all right. Unfortunately, I think I'm probably going to be playing Sergio too, which, if we know anything, me and Mike are on Sergio. You guys should probably not play him. But Kirk, I don't mind. I could see Keegan showing up here, but it's really not great. And you said really you just want a made cut here, but I don't know if a made cut gets it done. Because with the Masters, a lot of times what we see is, it's not a birdie fest. There's not a ton of scoring. So placement points do play quite a bit. I don't think that just getting 6 guys through this week is enough if you're really looking to contend. But as we get further down here, Bubba, it's a happy place for him. So 6,400. I think you can make a case for him. Taylor Moore has been incredibly consistent, so I'm fine going there. You hear Augusta referred to as a second shot course, so Lucas Glover with how he can strike the ball, I think I'm fine with that. Dave, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking it gets really thin, like you guys were talking about down here. You covered a lot of the names that I like. Not Sergio, but Chris Kirk up at 69. I could see playing him over there. JT Poston made a cut last year. He's been playing pretty solid golf this year. Ryan Fox, I just don't think I can stomach. T26 last year here, but just playing awful golf in general at the moment. I have no idea what's going on with Keegan Bradley in general. We haven't seen him much. Haven't seen him since the API. Hasn't done much in general this year, but coming off a made cut last year, 6,700, pretty good price for him down there. Gary Woodland, I'll hold my nose and probably play down at 64. Think it's cheap enough. He's won a major. We've seen some flashes from him coming off, T21 in Houston, but man, it gets thin. And once you start getting down towards these, 62 and under, I mean, you don't want to play any of these guys. So,
No,
um,
absolutely not.
the player pool really shrinks itself from what it is from 89. It's a good week to leave money on the table, good week to leave to be a little bit different and maybe just plant a flag or two down here under the, 7K because there's just not much there.
Yeah, I would plant your flags and play a couple of these guys. I wouldn't scattershot and play as many of them as you can because you're not really getting any leverage that way, and the likelihood of a lot of these guys paying off probably not great. I don't hate the Woodland call. I mean, just last time out gained 8.8 strokes on approach, so you definitely got to like that. But I think that's pretty much it. I mean, we can go for some strategy here. Obviously, if you are playing Scotty, you're going to have to live in that 7K range. So I think Scotty Connors is going to be pretty popular. Scotty Henley, Thigala. I think those are probably a lot of guys that you're going to see matched up. I'd say probably the most popular build that we're going to see is Shane Lowry and Scotty lineups because you can definitely fit that. But I personally I think I'm going to start a lot of lineups with Koepka and Schauffele or Koepka and Hideki. And those are probably going to be pretty popular as well. So definitely going to have to find ways to get different. But Dave, what do you think? What are you going to be leaning towards the top?
Kind of like what you were saying there, which if it gets overly popular, maybe we're gonna have to, zig again come Wednesday. If it's not Scotty, I think everyone is going to start with either Brooks or Xander or even play them together.
Yep.
So you really want to look at where ownership lands in some of these pockets here, and especially at a major. I mean, the pricing is soft enough where you've got talent, very similar talents in the same price range. Where whether it is a player that's not playing that great but with great course history, there's a lot of good viable pivots to go off of this week. If everyone just ends up getting lazy and playing the same handful of guys, you're not giving up much like we've talked about in prior weeks by taking a different player around the same price. So we've got a long week ahead still. There's a lot that's going to unfold in terms of ownership, but I think that being different for the sake of being different is one thing. I mean, you don't want to give up too much win equity here. And if you look at the previous winners, you're going to need somebody up top that's going to win this thing. And the winner's probably going to come from up top, not down below. So, like you were talking about with Scattershot, you might want to play a lot of these guys at 9K and above and, plant your flags down below.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go this week is, if you can pick and choose, if you like a couple guys in the 6K, play some of these 7K guys, and then just get as much exposure to the top of the board as you possibly can. as long as you're playing enough lineups, I definitely think that's the way to go. But Mike, what are you thinking from a strategy standpoint this week of how you're going to start some lineups? Or
Agree on most counts, honestly. But I will say, I think a small percentage of lineups, what that is, 3%, 5%, whatever. I think start at decky and just build like the most balanced lineup you could imagine. Just if you can get 6 dudes all in the top 20, give yourself a chance on the back nine on Sunday. I think there is a certain case to be made that could be viable.
And with
yeah,
the
I could see that.
salary where it is, I mean, most of the time, the winner to win a big GPP, you need the winner. But the way that some of these Scotty builds are going to unfold with how expensive he is, like Mike said, you might be better off getting 6 guys inside the top 10, top 15 than actually having Scotty and the winner, even if he does win it here. So balance could work, especially when you're looking at the big talent gap down below.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dave, have you made any bets so far?
I have one bet from this week, and the rest are our futures. I bet Brooks at 25-1 this morning with, I think it was a 25% boost that I got. I have Shane Lowry at 63.5-1 that I bet yesterday before the reset happened. Sahith, I bet at 66 back in February. And I have Adam Scott at 90-1.
I don't hate any of those. I actually, I'm on Brooks, I'm on Thigala, and honestly, I might make a placings bet on Scott. So I like those. Mike, have you looked at any bets at all? Or
Uh, I like Clark at 35. And I really think it's weird where that top end conversation went. Like I get first time Gust or whatever, but I just think he's since the open last year has been probably top 7-ish player in the world. I think at 35 that's fine. Uh Sagith 45, I think is a pretty number there. I don't know why Siwoo at 60. I mean, it intrigues me. Um, Adam Scott, maybe not to win it, but 14 plus 1400 to what is that, top 5? I think he can backdoor one here. Good course history. Um, kind of wish we got some of those sweet Eclipse odd boosts. Didn't seem to get them up here. Dave got them.
yeah, I got a boost for a single game parlay. That was all I got.
Yeah, I didn't get shit.
I got 5 points on my Masters bet.
It's bullshit, Dave. Bullshit. All right, but I think that's a pretty good breakdown of the DraftKings strategy and player pool. Obviously, it's the Masters. We have a ton of casuals coming in. If you're playing the Millie, gonna have to get different. I mean, definitely look at ways you can leave salary on the table. It's a limited field, and once you dig into that 6K range, it's even more limited than it really looks. So definitely keep all of that in mind. But any parting words, Dave?
Don't play any of the really olds from down below. There's no reason to play any of the 6K olds.
Even Pat
Yeah, pretty
Harrington,
much.
is he in the field?
I
Who?
don't think so. Patty Harrington.
He's
I
in the
didn't.
field,
I
yeah.
didn't see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see his
He
name.
was last week too, I think.
Yeah, I don't see him. Anywho, Mike, any parting words?
No. Enjoy yourselves out. This is. I go back and forth on which is my favorite week, but the U.S. Open, and the Masters are my 2 favorite weeks of the year, hands down. Just, I'm excited, boys.
The Masters is the
Absolutely.
true kickoff of real golf season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Masters week, holds a little higher than US Open for me. I'm ready to get
Yeah,
out.
The
I
U.S.
think so.
Open I have a place in my heart for U.S. Open because I played the U.S. Open. I've never made it to all the way to the final, but it's open. Like anyone 2 handicap or better can enter. There's something. There's a degree of just meritocracy there that I just love.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the Open, but Masters Week is just, Dave said it. I mean, it's the first major. It's kicking off major season, and then even more so this year, just with the shit show that we've had to kick off this year. I'm very excited for major golf. So
Majors
but
are elevated,
that's gonna
right?
Yes, they are signature events actually.
Is
The
signature elevated? Are those different now?
Yeah, there's no more elevated events, Mike. They're
There's
just
no more
signature
elevated?
events. No, they get rid
Fuck,
of elevated
I
events.
was
You
late
can
to
follow
get on the
along.
elevated train, and now I'm late to get off the elevated train.
Yep.
The
Now
fuck?
you need signature trains.
it's hard to keep up with, and obviously it all means nothing. I heard they're going to make the Masters a no cut event next year.
Make it 54 holes, shorts,
Yeah.
music
Yep.
playing.
Perfect. Yes.
I'm sure the patrons will love it.
All that. Yeah. We don't need sounds of birds cued in. We need techno beats.
As long as we have
But
Bob
that's going to do
Costas.
it. I mean, Bob Costas is a given. But that's going to do it for this week. As always, thank you for listening. Check out thehelmsports.com. Have all my write-ups up there. Broke down the live guys, their recent form, their Masters form. So also have the course preview up over there. I'll have my DraftKings player pool out probably tomorrow, Tuesday. Check all that out. Check out obviously check out the Helm Sports. My brain doesn't work right now. I have probably 102-degree fever, so trying to get through this, but thank you for listening. Check out the madlabmma.com as well. Obviously UFC 300. So MadLab is putting in the work, going to have an incredible week over there. So definitely check that out. But that's going to do it for this week. Thank you for everyone that is listening and watching. Greatly appreciated. Leave those reviews, hit that like button. But that's going to do it for this week. Hopefully, we can absolutely smash the first major of the year. But that's going to do it for me. I am your host, Derek Helm. And remember,
Just have fun out there.